comes to organ music, loud is good, at least to my way of thinking. I tucked my knees up under my chin and huddled back into the corner of the choir stall. It was obvious that Flavia was going to slog her way through to the end, come hell or high water, and I would simply have to wait it out. I looked at my surroundings, but there wasn't much to see. In the feeble glow of the single bulb above the music rack, Flavia and I might as well have been castaways on a tiny raft of light in a sea of darkness. By twisting my neck and tilting my head back like a hanged man, I could just make out the head of St Tancred, which was carved in English oak at the end of a hammer beam in the roof of the nave. In the weird evening light, he had the look of a man with his nose pressed flat against a window, peering in from the cold to a cosy room with a cheery fire burning on the hearth. I gave him a respectful bob of my head, even though I knew he couldn't see me, since his bones were mouldering away in the crypt below, but better safe than sorry. Above my head, on the far side of the chancel, John the Baptist and his murderers had now faded out almost completely. Twilight came quickly in these cloudy days of March, and viewed from inside the church, the windows of St Tancred's could change from a rich tapestry of glorious colours to a muddy blackness in less time than it would take you to rattle off one of the longer psalms. To tell the truth, I'd have rather been at home in my chemical laboratory than sitting here in the near darkness of a draughty old church, but Father had insisted. Even though Flavia was 6 years older than me, Father refused to let her go alone to the church for her almost nightly rehearsals and choir practices. "A lot of strangers likely to be about these days," he said, referring to the team of archaeologists who would soon be arriving in Bishop's Lacey to dig up the bones of our patron saint. How I was to defend Flavia against the attacks of these savage scholars, Father had not bothered to mention, but I knew there was more to it than that. In the recent past, there had been a number of murders in Bishop's Lacey, fascinating murders, in which I had rendered my assistance to Inspector Hewitt of the Hinley Constabulary. In my mind, I ticked off the victims on my fingers: Horace Bonepenny, Rupert Pawson, Brookie Harewood, Phyllis Wyvern. One more corpse and I'd have a full hand. Each of them had come to a sticky end in our village, and I knew that Father was uneasy. "It isn't right, Ophelia," he said, for a girl your age to be rattling about alone in an old church at night." "There's nobody there but the dead," Flavia had laughed, perhaps a little too gaily. "And they don't bother me, not nearly so much as the living." Behind Father's back, my other sister, Daffy, had licked her wrist and wetted down her hair on both sides of an imaginary part in the middle of her head, like a cat washing its face. She was poking fun at Ned Cropper, the potboy at the 13 Drakes, who had the most awful crush on Flavia and sometimes followed her about like a bad smell. Flavia had scratched her ear to indicate she had understood Daffy's miming. It was one of those silent signals that fly among sisters like semaphore messages from ship to ship, indecipherable to anyone who doesn't know the code. Even if Father had seen the gesture, he would not have understood its meaning. Father's codebook was in a far different language from ours. "Still," Father had said, "if you're coming or going after dark, you are to take Flavia with you. It won't hurt her to learn a few hymns." Learn a few hymns, indeed. Just a couple of months ago, when I was confined to bed during the Christmas holidays, Mrs. Mullet, in giggling whispers and hushed pledges of secrecy, had taught me a couple of new ones. I never tired of bellowing, "Hark the herald angels sing, Beecham's pills are just the thing, peace on earth and mercy mild, 2 for a man and 1 for a child." Either that or "We 3 kings of Leicester Square, selling ladies' underwear, so fantastic, no elastic, only 2pence a pair," until Flavia flung a copy of Hymns Ancient and Modern at my head. One thing I have learned about organists is that they have absolutely no sense of humour. "Flavia," I said, "I'm freezing." I shivered and buttoned up my cardigan. It was bitterly cold in the church at night. The choir had left an hour ago.